I apologize for the lack of videos as of late. I think the last one I did was January 5th, the Robbie Ray trades. Some of that has to do with the fact there just hasn't been very much to talk about. They've made a couple roster moves. I'll talk about one of them at the end of the video. But also a large portion of the hiatus, I don't know what you would call it. It has to do with the fact there hasn't been much to talk about, and a large portion of it has to do with the fact that if you didn't know, my stepdad passed away on Friday, and he was not doing very well coming into it. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously. Lots of sudden deaths happen, but he had a 4-year battle with cancer that got considerably worse at the end of January, or at the end of the 2023 year, at the beginning of January. So that has taken up a lot of my time. And I think most of you know that Skip was my stepfather, but in name only. He was my father. I have two fathers, and I have a mom. Well, unfortunately, I guess I don't have either right now, at least on Earth, because mom passed away in September, as you guys probably know. And there's never a good time to lose a parent, ever. There's never a good time to lose a loved one. But for this to happen so shortly after mom's passing has been devastating. There's no other word for it. It has just been absolutely devastating and unfair and hard. Just really, really hard. This will probably be a pretty short video, but I feel like I owe it to Skip to talk about. He was probably the best person I knew. Like, he was so unselfish, and he was so accommodating and caring and hardworking for sure. I mean, long Navy career, graduated from the Naval Academy, um, commanded his own base, retired as captain 07. He worked his you know what off. He was a unbelievable person. And the amount of people who have reached out to me that, went to school with him, that worked with him at various places, because obviously as a Navy guy, traveled an awful lot. And before that, his dad was a Navy guy, so they traveled an awful lot too. So, got a chance to get to know a lot of people, and I've never heard a bad word about him. Not one. And he came into my life in 2008 at a time where things were really bad for me. It was just a couple years after my own attempts at life. Well, you know what I'm saying. And he started dating my mom, and he was a stranger at first, but made an immediate impact and immediately took me in and was a father for 15 years. Not only a father, he was a best friend and a brother. I talked about how I owe everything to mom. Well, connected, I owe everything to Skip. And this is going to be really hard. But I do know this, and my mom wanted this, and I know Skip wants this. They were so proud of the efforts that I made to become a better person and to, I don't want to say make something of myself, but to, they were very proud of me. They were very proud of this channel. They were very proud of Mollywop Monday. They were very proud that I got to write for ESPN and NBC. And if I know one thing, it's that he wants me to keep going. And I'm going to, but it's going to be really hard. And I guess the main point of this video, other than to talk about Austin Voth, is hug your loved ones every day. Call Tell people how you feel. And when you're doing bad, do not be afraid to say stuff because you just never know. I love you, Skip. I love you as a dad. I love you as a brother. And I love you as a friend. Not in that order. I love you, Skip. The Mariners did make a transaction, though. Like I said, they signed Austin Voth, hometown boy, Redmond, Washington, pitched at the University of Washington. Wasn't very good last year. 25 appearances, a 5.19 ERA, a 1.56 WHIP. You know, we talk about ERA and WHIP being flawed stats, but I haven't actually talked about WHIP a whole lot because there's just not a whole heck of a lot to talk about. 34 strikeouts and 34 and 2/3 innings. You know, he's basically your new Chris Flexen, that type of guy who can give you a couple of innings of probably low leverage work. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not exciting, but you need pitchers like Austin Voth on your staff. And, you know, because he has the guaranteed deal, I would be very surprised if he doesn't make the opening day roster. But you're talking about a guy who is going to be pitching in the fifth, sixth, maybe seventh inning, you know, late in games where they're outside of competition, for lack of a better term. Has done a pretty good job of avoiding hard contact and barrels, which I think the Mariners, you know, and a lot of teams obviously like to see. Just doesn't miss bats at a, I mean, if it was 1998, he'd be a great bat misser. For this time and age, he's just not a guy who gets enough strikeouts or misses enough bats to be a super successful guy. He's had some issues with command as well. Maybe the Mariners see something that they like in his arsenal that they think can be improved on. Throws fastball, curve, slider, cutter, throws his curve a lot, 30% of the time. Not an elite fastball, not even close to an elite fastball, but does have the slider, and he throws the cutter as well. So maybe they think that they can better equip that pitch to be more of a close to an out pitch than what it's been. Not exciting. I wish we were talking about more exciting roster moves, but there's just not a whole heck of a lot going on. And in a weird way, I'm kind of grateful just because I'm in an emotional space right now that it's very difficult to maybe not care, but to adequately do my job to the best of its abilities. I think that probably makes sense. I also want to thank the Seattle Mariners because they've reached out. They reached out when Mom died. They reached out when Skip passed away. I appreciate it very much. I don't know if you guys watched the videos, the people who reached out, but thank you. It means a lot. And it means a lot that so many of you have reached out. You know, when Mom passed and now with Skip gone, that support means a lot. I'm not going to cry again. I'm not going to. I cry too much on these videos, but that's just the guy I am. Please hit like and subscribe. So next week, hopefully, if I'm in the right mental state, I'm gonna go. We've done a bunch of these best of position stuff. I'm gonna go through the infield: first base, second base, third base, shortstop. Being honest with you, there is not enough in some positions for a top 10. So I think most of these are going to be a top 5. A couple of them, maybe we'll talk about the guys who could have made the list if it was longer. But there are some doldrums, to say the very least. But yeah, that'll come up next week. And then starting in February, as we get closer to spring training, we'll start doing some positional previews, whole bunch of great stuff. And of course, once again this year, once again, I've only done it once, but once again, or this year, we will recap every single gosh dang Seattle Mariner game. So yeah, please hit like, please hit subscribe. And once again, I love you, Skip.